The case of a blind Chinese dissident who escaped from house arrest has taken another interesting turn. After seeking refuge in the U.S. Embassy in Beijing, Chen Guangcheng left the embassy and was reunited with his family. China had reportedly assured that he could stay in the country without being persecuted, but now Chen says he fears for his family's safety and wants to leave China. Joining us now is Jamie Metzl, Senior Fellow from the Asia Society. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So why the change of story? He left the embassy for a nearby hospital to seek treatment. Now he's saying that he's under duress.
Yeah, we don't really know why the change. He was in the embassy for 6 days. He negotiated with very senior people from the State Department. And at the time he left, he was saying that he was going of his own free will and to be reunited with his family. And they had an agreement that he would go to the city of Tianjin, he would study law, and that he wouldn't be harassed. But when he left, and now he's gone to the hospital and is with his family, I think that he fears that that agreement possibly won't be respected. And I think that it's a legitimate fear when you look at other dissidents in China, people like Liu Xiaobo, who won the Nobel Prize, or Ai Weiwei. It's not that the Chinese government has a problem with these people and then says, oh, okay, I guess we have a deal with the Americans. So if it's true that he's now feeling afraid, it wouldn't be entirely out of character, it wouldn't be entirely out of context.
Those fears aren't unfounded. I mean, this is an international incident at the eve of a monumental visit by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Give us the background of Chen's house arrest and why the Chinese are looking at him so closely.
Yeah, it's a big issue, and it points to an underlying problem in China that is a very big deal. So Chen, he was from the province of Shandong, and he was just a regular guy, a peasant who trained himself to be a lawyer and started to represent people who were subject to forced sterilizations as part of China's one-child policy, and people who had blood transfusions with blood that turned out to be tainted by HIV/AIDS. So he was advocating for these kinds of people. In China, though, even though it's nominally a communist country, when people start organizing on their own, the government gets very afraid. And so they had trumped up charges. First, he was sent to jail for 4 years, and then he was under house arrest in Shandong, and he was treated very poorly. And that was why 7 days ago, he slipped his captors in the middle of the night. He had an advantage because he was blind and could operate at night perhaps better than they could, and then came to the American embassy. So it's a big embarrassment for the Chinese government, because they are a nominally communist government, and yet when there are people who are coming from the bottom of society who are organizing, they're seeing it as a big threat.
This couldn't have come at a worse time for the Chinese. I mean, as I said, this is a moment in time when they're meeting with the highest diplomat from the United States, Hillary Clinton. Will this issue of human rights be brought up during those meetings, and how will it change the tone of these meetings?
It absolutely will, and from an American perspective, it should. In the beginning of the Obama administration, Hillary Clinton and others took a step back from raising issues of human rights. But as time has gone on, there's been a much stronger feeling that human rights represent our values as Americans. It's not our only issue with China, but it's an issue with China, and of course it will be raised, and that will be very tense. And what the Americans are saying is to the Chinese that we believe that you should do a better job of respecting the rights of your citizens because it's in your interests. And China's government is having a big tussle now about this issue of reform and empowerment, and they really don't know where they're heading.
They're demanding an apology from the United States. Is that not right?
Yeah, they are, and it's ridiculous. It was their citizen approached the American representatives and said that he wanted to be helped, and I think that the issue they can demand an apology. The United States should by no means give an apology, but I think this is a time for reflection. If China decides that they want to reform, and again, there's a big struggle going on right now in Beijing about which path China should take. If they decide they want to follow the path of reform, they are going to need to allow for their people to be empowered and to empower themselves. And this is a case where the tension between that old China and the potential for a new and better China is coming into sharper relief.
Okay, Jamie Metzl, Senior Fellow with the Asia Society, we thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.